Salve, salve, Maestro here, and today we are back with our first campaign on the new Victoria Free 1.9 update, which is the trade update, and it seems to be very huge, like probably is the best, even better than 1.5, and we are gonna check it out very, very soon. Just a quick disclaimer here, I'm editing this video a long time after recording, so this gameplay was recorded on 1.9.0, so a lot of things have changed. That's why it's so different. And the first thing I need to say about 1.9 and why it is the best update so far is, of course, the best thing, the UI. Of course, like, look at this map. This is the best map that they've done it, and it's so, so beautiful. And not only the map, but the initial screen, like it used to be the Russian Tsar together with the Queen Victoria. It was very ugly, and now it's some company stuff, like gorgeous stuff. I always need to say that UI and design of this game is just peak. But without further ado, let's start our first campaign in 1.9. And of course, we're gonna go for the United States. Like, it's probably the best country to play as a commerce and company update because United States got strong during the 19th century by its trade and by its very famous companies. So let's start it. Now, before anything else, since we are trying to explore this new update, I will try to control the global market only through trade. So I won't be expanding, making puppets on South America, Asia, colonizing Africa. No. The only war that I'm gonna do to conquer some states is here against Mexico, and that's it. All the other wars will be for foreign investments, to treaty ports, anything like it, and I'm gonna try to conquer everybody and put everybody in my power block through trade alone. So let's already start. We need to pick our first research, and I will straightforward go for nationalism in order to unlock the decision here, the manifest destiny, so we get a claim over all the Mexican states that we want. I won't go for this Texan statehood because they always lose this war. And yet there is this thing about save your CPU, which is a mod to increase performance because mine performance decreased during the 1.9, but I will only use it to merge limited pops. So it will merge pops that are being converted. And just that, but like merge all pops, I won't do because this, of course, will break the game balance. Now about politics, I'm gonna put the weak party into power. We want them to get this so we can pass more liberal laws. And of course, the final goal is to get slavery banned, but it's just not now. We're gonna go probably for dedicated police force in order to decrease the power from the landowners or the southern planters. And of course, I'm also gonna max out the educational institution, but I will not increase the law enforcement because this will grant the landowners a little bit more power, which we don't want. Now, about the economics, the best states in the US, at least from what I can tell right now, is Pennsylvania and Kentucky because they got very good goods to play out. So we got coal mines, iron mines, and logging camps here in Kentucky, and in Pennsylvania, we also got them. The problem with Pennsylvania in the beginning of the game is the infrastructure. I'm probably gonna put some road maintenance here, but still, we also need to spread the construction sectors to Kentucky because not only need to build the construction sectors, but also the coal mines, the iron mine, log camps, you got it. So let's start by maxing out the construction sector here in Pennsylvania. And we'll need to put some road maintenance to not get into low infrastructure problems. And with that, we still have, where is it? So we will have +8 of infrastructure that we're gonna build some iron mines and logging camps, probably 5 iron mines and 6 iron mines and 2 logging camps. Now, one of the new stuff about 1.9 is this trade tab, which we can set tax or subventions into the autonomous trade. And what I did was basically put a maximum tariffs into every good that is luxurious and remove all tariffs from the normal goods that like our population needs, like clothes, or I will need for our construction sector, like woods. Finally, about the budget, I'm gonna increase to medium taxes because if you go for high taxes, we're gonna get a stall. So let's put the medium to get the legitimacy high enough for us to pass some laws. And also let's increase our government wages to get more authority. And since I'm already here, let's max out the military wages because like 1K is nothing for us, let's be real. And if necessary, we come back here and drop it again. And I'm just checking here, we probably won't need it because we are paying a lot with subsidies as the United States, which just doesn't make sense. We can just take away this and we'll be fine. And with the excess of authority, let's add some resource industry in both Pennsylvania and New York. And the last thing that I was almost forgetting, which is the most important thing about this new DLC, is our company. As the United States, we start with a company. It's not that good of a company because they produce ships, but they got motor industries, which is kind of interesting. So let's start to grant them the company charters that are one of the most impressive things that we have right now. Like monopoly rights, I don't think it will be useful like for these industries. The industry rights, I don't think it's useful too because artillery kind of sucks. And later I'm gonna remove this and we will need to pay some compensation for them. So I just don't want it. Colonize, we don't need to colonize. We can quickly colonize our area. But then we had this too special here, and I'll say special because trade rights come along with the free 1.9 update, so everyone got it. And I actually don't think they are very powerful, but in this case that we have not very good industries to build, I think it's worth it to grant them. And the last of them, investment rights. Like I said when I was reading the dev diary that this would probably suck, but this is amazing. Like if you get investment rights in some country like the US, Russia, France, Great Britain, this is amazing. This is the best charter that you can grant to any company. And just as I said it, let's try to get some agreements and treaties with the European countries like England, France, or whatever. And of course, as expected, this new treaty system needs to get some fixing and balancing because I'm getting military assistance and investment rights over the British for just a non colonization agreement like free locations, but I wouldn't colonize them anyways because I'm just role playing here. So this is very fun to do, but okay, let's get this. And as it was not enough, we are also doing it over the French. Like 95% of chance is just 100%. And let's also start to do some treaties with our South American brothers because big countries like Brazil and Mexico we need to increase our influence as quick as possible because they are hard countries to influence and put them on our power block. And something very interesting about this new update is that you probably will prefer to grant trade privileges to some countries. So like a commercial relation between US and Brazil in Victoria 3 not only in Victoria 3, but in real life, we are probably gonna export industrial goods and gonna import some agricultural goods like coffee, tobacco, and anything like that. So it's interesting for us to grant some trade privileges to Brazil in order to decrease the price of these goods in our market. So this is basically a win-win situation. We get investment rights and trade privileges. They got trade privileges. Everybody wins. And I'm also pushing for a dedicated police force in Brazil, since it's interesting for us to decrease a little bit the landowners' power in these countries here from Latin America, because then we'll be able to pass some interesting laws for us, like free trade or ending slavery, and as such, creating a bigger market for our products. And finally, before I unpause, and I know I said finally a ton of times, but I'm also gonna annex the Indian territory because I just think that the related events are boring. So let's already end with this. And of course, I forgot to declare rivalries. So let's get Spain and Portugal as our rivalries and maybe Netherlands, but I actually want to get some investment rights over them to invest in Dutch East Indias, maybe put them on our power block, so I won't be doing that. And we can increase relations with Britain, France, Russia, and later with other countries. And all right, we got our first special event about the US, and we can decide if Nebraska will be a free territory or they're going to be a slave state. So this is something that actually happened, right? The US expanded in terms of number of states in order to balance the number of slave states and the number of free states. So the American parliament was always on a tie and everybody was kinda happy. So let's go and remain a free territory. We can do that. Okay, dedicated police force, our first hit. So let's go step by step. And now as our second law, I'm very interested into going for slavery ban because I don't know how we got 67. Like if we check here, it says that it's law commitment, but this is just not true. Like the law commitment is on the side of Venezuela. I put this so they can pass and they are actually trying, probably will, and probably this is bugged, and for sure this will trigger the civil war, and I will wait to have the civil war after the war with the Mexicans. So as our next law, I can go to laissez-faire or wealth voting. Some of you might not know, but most of the times wealth voting is much better than census suffrage because you can empower much more easily both the intelligentsia and the industrialists, and you can clearly see that they support this law. While census suffrage will also trend to empower the intelligentsia, but will grant much more clout to the rural folk, the petit bourgeoisie, and basically most of times the beginning of the game go for wealth voting. But I actually think that I'll go first to laissez-faire, although wealth voting get a bigger success chance. I will go for laissez-faire and probably then wealth voting. And another event about the slavery in America, again, kind of similar to the last one, now we need to decide if the states will be free or will be slave state. And by looking at the approve, I can go historically, like lose a little bit of approval for each interest group. So let's just go historical. Everybody gets a little bit mad, but it's okay. And now that we are back to a very stable budget and our investment pool is just insane, I just maxed out all the construction sectors in New York and already started building 10 in Kentucky. Okay, so now that we unlocked nationalism, we not only get plus 10% of 40, which is very great for this patch, we also can go to water to boiler, and the most important part is to get manifest destiny. So now we got some claims over Mexican and we are gonna get them all in one single war. And just a quick tip before the war, if we declare like over California, we can see that there is a chance, like they won't be siding, but there is a chance for the Russians to side with Mexico, for the Hudson Bay Company, whatever. But if we come here to Texas, there's no one that can side with them, like Great Britain, but they won't, and Haiti, which I don't care. So there are some places that are better to declare war on. And now that we've added all the return state CBs, we could go and like enforce some treaties. The most important here probably is investment rights or maybe treaty port. But we don't need to do that because eventually we're going to be able to add Mexico to our market and our power block. So we will be able to do that anyways. And enforcing these through treaties will only delay it. And for this war, I'm just raising my conscripts. All of them are concentrated into New York because maybe I will need to enact this enlistment efforts, which is actually very interesting because we are going to drop the training rate. So I will do that right now. So basically, all the conscript from all the armies will train faster. And all right, very easy war. Like there's nothing that Mexico can do about us because we have a ton of conscript and we got like basically that's our final conquest war. We won't be doing any more. No protectorate, no conquer state, nothing. Okay, we just unlocked the water to boiler, so let's already jump into society and try to get probably this one. So more companies, maybe some weekly construction progress. We'll see, we'll see. Yeah, no, we need laissez-faire to pass because otherwise this revolution might trigger like in the beginning it was 70 of activism, now it's up to 94. And it's kind of strange that in US we're having a labor revolution before the Civil War, right? And as our second company, now that we unlocked the joint stock company, we're for sure gonna go for Metalworks Corporation of Pennsylvania because prestige goods over tools is just amazing. It's one of the best companies probably in the game. Like considering basic companies, it's very good. And we will already grant them the investment rights I will not grant trade rights because I want them to build tooling workshops, but I will also grant them steel mills for sure. Although I'm not gonna give them some monopolies because since these are goods that I use for construction sector, granting a monopoly will increase the price of these goods, which I don't want it. And this is why it's very dangerous to have a revolution that close to 100 plus 5%. If this was a plus 10, we would have a civil war right now. And in the last three cycles, I always got like, okay, it's a positive event. It increased the successions, but all the times I didn't get the law. We're so close to getting into a civil war, and it's not about abolition. And something I always do about my treaties is actually checking the countries that managed to get these laws. So basically, Venezuela already got slavery banned, so I can renegotiate treaty in order to get another law that I want them to pass. So basically, I can see here that they are actually very much leaning towards approving free trade if we get this law commitment article. So step by step, we can shape the political and the internal structure of the countries that we have interest in. And all right, we got laissez-faire. Like we're very, very close to get this revolution. We're still very close, but traditionally, after you pass a law, things tends to stable a little bit. But okay, finally. And yeah, they are not backing down. So I started to suppress them because I won't use this excess of authority. I won't pass any law by now. So let's try to hold these guys and prepare the terrain to pass slavery ban, probably. Now, what we could do is actually go for proportional taxation instead of per capita taxation. Like this will make the landowners and industrialists a little bit mad, but we are fine with them. And this will reduce the radicalism over the labor movement. Like this would be better than per capita taxation, but I'm not that interested into passing it right now. It's not something major. So if it fails, it's okay. And if it don't fail, it's even better because proportional taxation is better than per capita. Okay, so we ended the Seminole Wars and we got the Seminole Peace, which grant us 50 migration attraction for Florida. So, okay. And we got proportional taxation. Like, I wasn't expecting that. It was just to calm down the laborers, but it seems that they are the victorious one. Like, they wanted something and they got it. And now that everything is a little bit more stable, like, okay, we are losing a grant of budget, but still we can manage this. So I think it's time to go for a slavery ban. Like we got a pretty decent success chance. This, of course, will trigger the civil war, but is inevitable if you want to ban slavery in the US in the early game. So let's get it. And of course, the pro-slavery movement would start a tension to start the civil war, but we only need to defend and naval invade their capital. So it's kind of dirt. And it's kind of funny that even though our investment pool is like huge, plus 135K weekly, they are not building that ton of things like we are in laissez-faire. They are not building a ton of things. I'm building most of things in my country. But what happened is they're just privatizing a ton of things because we have got like a ton of investment rights in all countries. So like they are privatizing on ASEAN, Quebec, France, Ecuador, Udaipur. I do not even know where this is. Probably India, Wales. Like they are basically taking control of ownership all over the world. And since I'm already recording, the good old days, which can grant momentum, no, we don't want that. Yeah, that's good. Of course, this momentum is good, but the civil war will trigger anyway, so it's not that important. And we are having our prestige to journal entry. I just checking it here. We just need to. Okay, it's a lot of things happening at the same time. We can grant them momentum. Nah, I don't want the. Okay, and this guy can retire. Yeah, like he would be great because he is a Democrat, so I would be able to pass well voting more easily. But his acceptance in the American society doesn't allow me to put him on power of the rural folk. I'm gonna exile him because I don't want the rural folk to get a little bit more attraction. But okay, as I was saying, we just need to fill up this journal entry to get a prestige good. Now we need to have this company to be prosperous, which is straightforward, and be the top 3 production of tools in the world. And since I'm already recording a tumultuous campaign, we can, no, I don't want to decrease momentum of them. Yeah, yeah, and increase momentum, of course. And okay, the Civil War triggered. Let's see what they got for us. We can play as a Confederate or no, we're gonna play as American. And since we only rely on conscript, I'm gonna already mobilize all my armies so I can start to raise the conscripts. And since the Civil War is triggered, it seems that we can just straightforward enact slavery ban, which is of course what we want. So let's get this. Now that the Civil War started, my goal is basically to get some conscript and just defend here. So basically, the capital of the Confederate States, if I'm not mistaken, is right here at Virginia, right? Yes. So what we can do is basically get this little army here, do a quick naval invasion, and just wait for the tick score to get below 0. Man, like, I'm fighting against the Confederates, but all of the available generals are slavers and from either the landowners or the rural folk. Like, what the fuck? And now the inefficient agriculture event triggered, and like this is a very basic, but they changed it, so that's why I'm recording right now. And look how powerful it is. They got state construction efficiency, manufacturing throughput, even capitalist investment pool like 15%. That's huge. The other options are also good, like it increased from 3 to 5 construction efficiency, but these are aristocrat contribution to investment pool, and this one is just for conscription. But this is much, much good. Like the old one was about migration, I guess. It was still good, but this is much, much better. And now we have control over their capital, so it's only a matter of wait, and we will win this civil war. And the civil war is finally over. A little bit delayed. I thought it would be quicker, but okay. We finally managed to do that in 1845. I know that there are some ways to make it faster, but still a very good progress. Just fixing the shit that the Confederate AI did while casually watching some Formula 1. Proper victory free experience. And now that we finished the Civil War, we got some new journal entries, and now we need to reconstruct the country basically. And by that, I mean we need to complete these journal entries here. We need to readmit the secessionist states, which, okay, I know this one. This is probably impossible to do. I will try to do it, but it's still very, very hard to keep this population loyalist and equality for all, which increase the acceptance of Afro-American. Okay, that's fine. And I was almost forgetting about it, but when you have the Civil War, all of your states turns into incorporate. So we need to incorporate them again. And now that the revolutionary movements are all marginalized, we can pass the laws that we were wanting to, like wealth voting and cultural exclusion. I will start by wealth voting because probably this will make it easier for us to get cultural exclusion, because in this meantime, like the rural folk will increase a little bit their power. So let's already fix the political stances and then go for cultural exclusion. I think that this event is new because I never saw this background, and I need to say that's a very beautiful background. Like, this is the most important part of the game, of course, the UI. And of course, we now have, well, voting. Like, we're playing as the US in 2025. Of course, our voting system is based on wealth, right? Oh, wait, actually, is 1846. Kind of strange, but still applies nowadays, so fine. Now, I was going for cultural exclusion, but because of this journal entry here, what I'll try to do is actually go to guarantee liberties so we can increase the loyalists from political movement here and see if we can complete it. And as always, when you ban slavery in a country, after some times you get this event, which removes the pro-slavery ideology from the landowners. And then you can like side with them and excuse what they've done in the past or still never forget. I'm gonna go for never forget because I don't care about him. And now we completed the journal entry about the precision tool prestige goods, and this is very, very great because our construction sectors, they use tools. So after some time, they're going to start to use our prestige goods, which increase their construction efficiency, which is of course fantastic. And since we got the prestige goods, I just wanted to check how my companies are doing. And of course, we are already the top one most profitable company in the world with the metal works. And after all this time, Abraham Lincoln is our president. Like, he is too late. He'll be forgotten by history because we already banished slavery, so it doesn't matter that much. Now, one of the big problems about playing as in South American countries is the infrastructure issue. So basically, they end up in a trap where they don't have infrastructure, and in order to do so, they will need to build some railroads, but they can't build some railroads because they can't produce engines, steel, and they can buy it or build the industries because they don't have the infrastructure. So what I started to do is build these three buildings in the most important states of each country. So a steel mill, motor industry, and a railway both in La Paz, Minas Gerais, and Santiago. And this is to give a little boost to their economies in order to start to snowball. And this is, of course, great for us because if these countries have infrastructure, we're going to be able to build some sugar plantations, some coffee plantations, later in the game, some rubber extraction, and everything else. And now that we are heavily influencing over South America, I think it's safe to say that it is time to form our power block since we will probably have enough leverage to later add these countries to our power block, but this I will leave to the next video. I hope you liked the episode, comment, like, subscribe, and I see you next time.